Guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm doing a story time. I want to take you back to my childhood when I was a baby, or not a baby, but a teenager. I promise you guys that I'm going to tell you how my younger sister died or drowned in the river. So this is the story time. Stay on your screen, don't move away. Grab your glass of water, grab your popcorn. We are going to go ahead and talk about this sad and motivational at the same time story. It was a sad story, it's still a sad story. It has a lot of positivity coming from it. It has a lot of good memories coming from it. It has so many beautiful things that after that story I've learned. So let's just go ahead. And I think I was doing my grade 7. At the time we call it standard 5. I was doing my standard 5, still at school, still a young girl. I don't think that I will ever forget that year because a lot of things did happen into my life, and some were good, some were bad. The good thing that has happened is this, that I can just go ahead and put it while we are going ahead and sharing the story. I was doing my standard 3. I don't know, it's grade 6, I think, at the end of the year, because I was bright at school and my teachers and principals saw it that it was right for me to be taken from grade 7, from grade 6 to standard 5, standard 3 to standard 5. I think it's grade 5, grade 6, guys. I don't know the grades, are just confusing me. I'm going to stick to the standard that. So I was doing my standard 3. It took me from standard 3 to standard 5. I didn't do standard 4. I don't know anything about that class. I've never been there. So I went to standard standard 5. So while I was there, I think I'm not sure whether it was September or April, but I think it was early April if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the month. I don't remember properly. I went there at the beginning of the year. Yeah, that was the year that something positive did happen. I went there and continuing with my studies. One day I was coming from school. So in my household, each of one of us, we had different chores that we do when we at home. So that day it was my day to prepare supper. My other 2 sisters, they did other chores because they used a wood stove, not a wood stove, a coal stove where you put, I don't know, maybe I will find a picture and then I will put it somewhere where you will see it. You can chop wood, put them on the stove, and it will warm the house and use it to cook. So my 2 older sisters, they were doing that chores and they were cleaning. My chores that day was when I coming back from school, I will wash the dishes and then prepare supper. It was my day. So I remember it was summer. It was hot. It was a hot day. I remember I came from school. I washed the dishes. I put a pot on top of the stove, put water for the water to boil for me to cook up. So I went I put the pot. My younger sister came crying. She was holding a towel or a blanket, a smaller one. She wanted me to put her on my back. I said to her, no, go to Mama, because I was busy. My mother was not feeling okay. She was in her bedroom sleeping. So I said, no, go to Mama. I didn't check whether she did go to my mother or she did what. I continued doing what I was doing. I was done. I went to my bedroom. I lay on top of the bed. That's the very thing that every day when I think about the story, pains me so much that maybe I should have taken that blanket and put her on my back. Maybe I don't want to think about it, because somehow I just feel like I can blame myself. My younger sister was outside washing some school uniform for herself. She was outside. I was inside the house. I don't know how many minutes passed or I don't know what time passed. Someone came running into our house and called and said to me, call your mother and tell your mother that your younger sister has fallen into the river, but your uncle has already taken her out of the river. I thought to myself, oh, that is not a big deal. It's out of the river. So it's okay. I think at the time I was around 14, going to be 15. I don't know how many years I was. I'm just thinking like I was around 14 going to be 15 years. So I remember my mother, I went to my room, to my mother's room and said, Mama, they say our sister, I call her by the name, we called her Lindo Gushem, she fallen into the river. Calm. I said, but they say uncle has already taken her out of the river. I think she's okay. My mother jumped from the bed and she went outside. She was only wearing, what do I call it? She jumped from the bed and she ran and she went where they say my sister was. I continued doing what I was doing. I thought, okay, everything is okay. But somehow I just said, okay, let me just go and check. I went there running. And I reached there. Before seeing my mother, there were a distance. Before seeing my mother, when I saw my mother, she was crying with my other sisters and some other people. There were so many people there. I didn't go to them. I just turned around and back home. I started crying because I saw my sister. My grandmother was carrying my sister on her hand. My sister's hands were just like, it was just her body, her lifeless body. My grandmother was carrying her lifeless body on her hands. I turned around, didn't go there, I didn't touch, I didn't want us to be so close. I didn't continue going to them. I just turned around and I ran back home. I started crying. Everyone was asking me, why are you crying? Why are you crying? I didn't answer anybody. I just ran back home. I sat down and I started to cry. After a while, my mother came, my sisters came, and we were all crying. Then my father came back from work. When my father came back from work, he said, what are you crying? What is this? What I am hearing? Because it was late in the afternoon. I think it was around past 5 to 6 o'clock. Yes, no, past 4 to 5 o'clock. So my father said, what's wrong? Then I started to explain to him what happened. Then after that, my grandmother took my younger sister to the hospital. My mother was crying so hard. I went to her. I said, Mama, maybe she's going to be okay because they're taking her to the hospital and maybe she's going to be okay. My mother said, I've seen my child. I don't think that she will come back. I said, Mama, maybe she will. She will come back. I sat with her. We waited and we waited. My grandmother came back. When she came, she was carrying the clothes on his hands and she entered the house and she started crying. She cried and we all knew that our baby sister was dead. We started afresh and we started crying. From that day, my mother was never okay. Everyone at home was not okay. We cried until, not going to go long the story because it is a painful story. My sister, then the following weekend we buried her. There were a lot of stories surrounding how she died, what happened, she was with what. From that experience, from that painful experience, I always say I am glad that we have a God in heaven who always watches over us, even to the hardest situation that we pass through. But God keep us together. We lived. Yes, my mother was not okay, but God allowed our mother to live another many years after my sister died. A horrible death. We had our mother because for her to heal the pain of losing a child, I had to see my mother going to the struggle of losing a child, of losing a young child who could not even fight for herself in that river, because there were a lot of stories surrounding how my sister died. The children that they were with her, we all wondered how she went. She ended up in the river. What was she doing there? Nobody knows, because it was late in the afternoon. Nobody was going into the river, and the river is not even around the place. It is outside the village where I come from. So it was so painful. I want to share with you guys the stories about my life. I want to give someone hope out there. And even life can be so painful, can be so hard. You can face so many challenges, even in your adult life. As we speak right now, you are going through stuff that you know that these things that I'm going through, maybe you don't see how you are going to come out of it. But there is God in heaven who is looking down on us and making sure that all the bad experiences that we pass through, I can tell you that that same year I myself personally, I had to pass through another painful experience of my life, which I know I'm not going to share here because of some reasons, my personal reasons. But I remember, I always say to myself, even today, doing this recording, I said to myself, even yesterday, going to church, even Saturday, even like every time when something bad happen in front of my eyes, or I know about it or I don't know about it, but I can sense that there's something wrong that is happening in my life, I look up and I say, I thank God that there is God in heaven, that there is God in heaven who is looking down on me, who is so merciful to carry me through the pains that I'm passing through. I know that the pains that I'm passing through, one day I am going to look back and say, thank God you were there. I always encourage myself in the Lord. As David said, encourage yourself in the Lord. Sometimes life cannot be so fair to us. You can look at yourself and say, I don't have any hope. I cannot see any future. You can see all the negative things that are happening around you. Maybe you are going through a divorce. Maybe you are going through sickness. Maybe you are going through a situation in your life and you look at your life and you say, what have I done? What have I done to deserve this painful thing that is happening to me? But I want to say to you today, there is a God in heaven who is looking down on us, and he knows that every situation, every pain that we are going through, he is there. He is always. The word of God says he is closer to us than our parents, than our biological children, anyone, or he is so closer. I'm just going to give you this encouragement that whatever pain, whatever situation, whatever anything that we are passing through, it is not the end of the world. There is still God in heaven who is looking down on us. And I will assure you that one day God is going to fight all your battles. God is going to reward you. God is going to see you and say, this is my child. I know why I have chosen her or him to pass. I have allowed these things to happen to her so that she can be a healing to other people. I know sometimes I ask myself, how can I always share pain to people? How can I be so emotional? Why is it that I come from the pain, from the point where I am feeling pains, because I am here? God is putting me here to come and share my story, my life, so that many of us can be healed. I know a lady that I've watched. She said, I went through a lot, but God has allowed the things to happen in my life for a reason. Everything that is happening in our life, it is for the glory of the Lord. When Lazarus died, Jesus said, the death of Lazarus, it is the death that it has to glorify God. Today we are speaking about situation that even the dead can be awakened, because we have seen Lazarus be awakened from the dead. Any situation that we are passing through, God has allowed it for a purpose. God has said yes to happen to us. To me, I say to myself always, thank God there is a God in heaven. I always say to myself, whenever the pains of life are hitting me, I say, thank God there is a God in heaven. I remember one day I was sitting and thinking to myself, and I say, why me? Why have I had to pass through these painful experiences in my life? And I say, I am so glad that God loved me. I am so glad that God has chosen me for this specific purpose, for these specific reasons, for this specific time. God has allowed it. Even God is not a tempter. He cannot tempt us. But God let things happen in our life because He trusts us so much. I remember the story of Job. When Job was passing through things, when God allowed the devil to come and torment him, God, He said, I trust Him enough that He will stand and He will never curse me. He will live until that. He said, I'd rather die than to curse the Lord. God, He is so faithful. God, He is so faithful to us. Even today, He is still God. The pains, the troubles, the situation that we are passing through, He is still God. He is still God. He can still do things. He can still change the situation. He can still make miracles. He can still pick us up from the ground and lift us up where He wants us to go. He is still God. Nothing changes Him. Nothing can never changes Him because He is still God. He can never change and He will never change. I thank you and I love you. May the good God bless you, and may the good God shower you with all the blessings that you need in your life. I say, let us never ever stop listening and praising and praying, because God is our keeper. He will hold us tight close to Him. He will make sure that we are so closer to Him. Even people around you can leave you. Even people around you can reject you. Even people around you can say they don't want to do anything with you. But God in heaven, He will never ever leave you. He will never reject you.